Number 1. The most tightly controlled country on the planet. North Korea is often referred to as one of the most tightly controlled countries in the world. You may have heard that people here cannot leave the country without permission, and everything they do must follow the proper procedures. Even very personal choices, like hairstyles, are not entirely up to you, as they only allow a fixed list of styles. But that's just the visible part. In North Korea, control begins the moment a child is born. If you are a citizen here, you will soon be linked to a system called songbun. Simply put, this is how the state ranks individuals based on their family background. Being born into a family deemed loyal gives you more opportunities, from education to career prospects. Conversely, if you are classified as having a bad background, your life is almost predetermined, with limited educational opportunities, low-paying jobs, and often living in remote, impoverished areas. When you enter elementary school, in addition to basic subjects, students must also take political classes. Textbooks, television, and radio are all state-controlled, so you only see what they want you to see. This is why, while the world knows that the Korean peninsula is divided into North and South Korea, many citizens believe there is only one unified Korea. The reason sounds simple. The maps they are shown do not include South Korea. When it comes time to work, you also do not choose your profession. The state assigns you what to do and where to do it, with almost no way to change direction. At one point, thousands of young people were sent from the city to the mountains to grow potatoes. And once they went, they could be stuck in farming for a long time, even becoming default farmers for life. Some periods even required paperwork to move between localities. So, leaving your place of residence is not necessarily something you can just decide to do. In North Korea, not only behavior but also emotions are managed. Citizens are required to cry when they meet leader Kim Jong-un or during national mourning events. The media often captures scenes of crowds weeping as a way to demonstrate loyalty. If someone does not cry, or if their tears are deemed insincere, they are sure to face significant trouble, at the very least attracting attention and being called in for questioning. So, if you lived in a place where from birth to employment, even how you express your emotions is regulated, do you think you could endure it? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Number 2. The modern feudal dynasty. North Korea is classified as a socialist country, but the way it operates in practice leads many to liken it to a feudal dynasty existing in the 21st century. Power here is not transferred through elections or collective mechanisms, but follows a hereditary model reminiscent of ancient thrones. From Kim Il-sung, power passed to Kim Jong-il and is now held by Kim Jong-un. Recently, international attention has begun to focus on Kim Ju-ae, the daughter of Kim Jong-un. Despite being only in her early teens, she has frequently appeared alongside her father at major events, from military parades to visits to missile bases. North Korean state media even refers to Kim Ju-ae as respected, a title traditionally reserved for the leader. With such favoritism, many believe she is being groomed for a future role as successor. As a dynasty, North Korea also has some very unique rules. One of these is the prohibition against citizens naming their children after the supreme leaders. This act is considered a serious offense, similar to regulations that once existed in feudal courts. Furthermore, the country uses its own calendar system. The Juche calendar does not count from the Common Era, but starts from 1912, the year Kim Il-sung was born. Therefore, while the world transitions to the year 2025, in Pyongyang, they are living in the year 114 according to the Juche calendar. Even the way leaders are protected in North Korea has a distinctly different flavor. The special guard force around Kim Jong-un is not only selected with strict criteria, but also follows a tradition of hereditary service. The fathers who once protected Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il have their sons continuing the duty of guarding Kim Jong-un. Their tasks are extremely rigorous, from never taking their eyes off the leader to maintaining precise distances while moving, creating a living protective circle. This image evokes memories of the elite guard families that have closely followed emperors through many generations in Eastern history. And like past dynasties, behind the curtain of power in North Korea are fierce purges. Jang Song-thaek, the uncle who was once considered the second most powerful figure, was executed in 2013 on charges of treason. In 2017, Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of Kim Jong-un, was assassinated at Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia. Two women unexpectedly approached him and smeared a toxic substance on his face. Kim Jong-nam died just about 20 minutes later. Many countries and international intelligence agencies believe the incident is linked to Pyongyang, as Kim Jong-nam was seen as a potential threat to the current leadership position. Number 3. The most mysterious women on the planet. Due to North Korea's near-total isolation from the outside world for decades, modern beauty trends have struggled to penetrate daily life. This has allowed North Korean women to maintain many natural physical traits, such as the familiar monolid eyes of East Asians, a delicate nose, and bright skin. Heavy makeup and cosmetic surgery are not common, and natural beauty is still regarded as the standard. The clothing style of North Korean women also clearly reflects this mindset. Outfits are typically modest, simple, and elegant, featuring long skirts, long-sleeve tops, high collars, and soft colors. An interesting detail is that there was a time when women were not allowed to wear pants. This viewpoint originated from the late leader Kim Il-sung, who believed that pants were a garment meant for men. For many years, women almost exclusively wore skirts in all situations, from the workplace to daily activities. It was only during Kim Jong-un's leadership that this regulation was lifted and pants were officially accepted in women's attire. In the past, images of North Korean women in everyday life were almost absent from international platforms. However, this has changed in recent years. Some citizens have been allowed to use domestic social media, and select accounts have appeared on international platforms like TikTok. As a result, the world has begun to see more everyday images from Pyongyang, such as scenes of daily life, familiar foods, and peaceful streets. This change is viewed as one of the rare small adjustments related to the personal lives of women in North Korea. Nevertheless, this openness does not mean that relationships with foreigners have become easier. The North Korean government maintains a very strict stance on protecting the pure bloodline of the nation. According to this view, marriage to foreigners could undermine cultural identity and loyalty in the next generation. Therefore, cross-border marriages are almost discouraged and often require special procedures. There has been a rare case that has been mentioned multiple times. A Vietnamese student studying in North Korea fell in love with a local girl. Despite their serious and genuine relationship, they were not allowed to marry due to state regulations. It was only after the president of Vietnam directly sent a diplomatic note that North Korea agreed to allow the wedding to take place. Number 4. Is North Korea suspected of counterfeiting dollars? In the 1990s, U.S. intelligence agencies began to grow concerned upon discovering nearly perfect counterfeit $100 bills. The sophistication of these notes was such that even specialized currency verification devices could not detect them. These bills quickly earned the nickname Supernote. From the paper material, ink, security strip to the watermark and serial numbers, everything was replicated with extreme precision. Some experts even remarked that the quality of Supernotes was better than that of real money, and if they were not questioned, they could easily circulate in the international market without any issues. The first country to come under suspicion was North Korea. According to U.S. intelligence assessments, the printing techniques used for Supernotes closely resembled the high-end printing equipment that North Korea had secretly imported from Europe during the 1970s and 1980s. Notably, at that time, North Korea was under strict economic sanctions from the United States. The lack of hard currency made it difficult for Pyongyang to import food, components, and weapons, and counterfeiting was seen as a creative solution to bypass these barriers. Despite continuous accusations from the US, South Korea, Japan, and various international intelligence agencies, North Korea has always denied any involvement. To date, no direct evidence has been publicly released to prove that the country is behind the Supernote printing operation. There are no images of the printing facility, no witnesses who are currency printers, and no one has been able to accurately trace the origin of these bills. Therefore, Supernotes remain one of the greatest mysteries of modern finance, and it may never have a clear resolution. Another factor that raises U.S. suspicions about North Korea is the long-standing tense relationship between the two nations. North Korea is the only country to have ever captured a U.S. Navy ship. That ship, named USS Pueblo, was commissioned in 1944 and served as an intelligence-gathering vessel. The USS Pueblo was approximately 53.6 meters long, weighed nearly 900 tons, and was equipped with the most advanced surveillance equipment of its time. On the 23rd of January 1968, while the USS Pueblo and its 83 crew members were conducting reconnaissance near the port of Wonsan, a strategically important military area in North Korea, the ship was approached by a submarine and 3 torpedo boats. North Korea accused the USS Pueblo of violating its territorial waters by 7.6 nautical miles and demanded that the ship stop for inspection. However, Captain Lloyd Booker asserted that the vessel was operating in international waters and refused to comply. Subsequently, the North Korean ships opened fire. Lacking combat readiness and moving at a slow speed, the USS Pueblo was quickly overwhelmed. After about an hour of fighting, 1 crew member was killed and the entire crew was forced to surrender. The incident led many Pentagon officials to regard it as one of the greatest humiliations in U.S. naval history. In its 155 years of existence, the U.S. Navy had never lost a ship to another nation. The capture of the USS Pueblo intact severely damaged the military's honor. After 11 months of tense negotiations, the U.S. and North Korea reached a diplomatic agreement. The U.S. signed a document acknowledging its violation of North Korean territorial waters, issued an apology, and committed to not repeating the offense, in exchange for North Korea releasing the 82 detained crew members. However, North Korea refused to return the USS Pueblo, which is still displayed in Pyongyang as a symbolic trophy. Interestingly, upon their return, the U.S. sailors insisted that they had never violated territorial waters and believed the entire incident had been staged by Pyongyang. Number 5. The Strange Wars with South Korea. North Korea and South Korea have long been regarded as 2 of the most fiercely opposing nations in the world. One side frequently issues hardline and intimidating statements, while the other responds with joint military exercises and modern defense systems. However, alongside these familiar military maneuvers, the 2 countries sometimes resort to psychological confrontations that can even make outsiders chuckle due to their unusual nature. While North Korea showcases its military strength, South Korea capitalizes on its cultural advantage, particularly through K-pop. The South Korean military has deployed dozens of large loudspeakers along the border, powerful enough to project sound deep into North Korean territory. From these speakers, they broadcast international news, messages of democracy, calls for reunification, and popular K-pop songs. These songs are chosen for their catchy melodies, positive lyrics, and spirit of freedom, aiming to create an invisible comparison between life in the 2 Koreas. Many experts refer to this as a form of psychological warfare through popular culture. This tactic may sound amusing at first, but it has proven to be effective to some extent. Some North Korean soldiers have been psychologically affected, with a few even defecting to South Korea to request K-pop music. In response to this situation, the Pyongyang regime has implemented harsh crackdowns, including public executions of those caught spreading music or films from South Korea. In their eyes, K-pop is not just music, but is viewed as a form of decadent culture capable of undermining the foundations of socialist ideology. Of course, North Korea does not remain passive. They have deployed their own loudspeakers in retaliation, broadcasting revolutionary songs that praise the regime and criticize South Korea. As a result, the scene at the border has become quite bizarre, with residents daily subjected to 2 opposing streams of sound, one side blasting lively K-pop and the other playing grand revolutionary music, prompting many to seek a quiet place to escape the noise. There was a time when relations between the 2 countries softened, with South Korea sending famous artists to Pyongyang for cultural exchange performances. However, the audience's reaction in the auditorium was quite peculiar. The leaders and officials seated below showed almost no emotion, refraining from dancing or laughing, and only applauded in unison at the end of the performance. Some joked that no matter how relaxed the atmosphere might be, smiling in front of the cameras could lead to trouble behind the scenes. Later, as tensions escalated again, South Korea changed its approach. Instead of using loudspeakers, they released balloons across the border carrying leaflets, USB drives containing South Korean dramas, K-pop music, and even US dollars. Aiming to help North Koreans access information from the outside world, North Korea responded in a more unpredictable manner. They released thousands of balloons filled with trash into South Korean territory, totaling around 15 tons, with some landing near the presidential Blue House. If such unconventional confrontations were adopted everywhere, perhaps the world would be a lot less tense. Number 6. Leaders who are absolutely revered. In most countries, primary education begins with teaching children to read, write, and do arithmetic. However, in North Korea, the first lessons that children must memorize revolve around the greatness of the three leaders: Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un. According to international studies, students in North Korea may have to participate in about 2,600 class hours, directly related to the history, ideology, and contributions of these leaders. When including extracurricular activities, this number can exceed 3,600 hours, equivalent to more than 3 full years of schooling dedicated solely to politically themed content. The reverence for the leaders exists not only in schools, but also in public spaces. When standing before the statues of the deceased leaders, people often bow their heads in a gesture of respect. In every household, school, and government agency, portraits of the three leaders are always displayed prominently. These portraits hold special significance, to the extent that in emergency situations such as fires or natural disasters, citizens are instructed to prioritize their protection. Domestic media once recounted the story of a 9-year-old girl named Ju Hyang Lim who attempted to save a portrait of the leader during a fire. This act was seen as a testament to loyalty and bravery, and the girl was awarded a national honorary title. Subsequently, the school she attended was renamed to commemorate this event. Her story is often used as an example in education to encourage the spirit of sacrifice and loyalty from a young age. Additionally, North Korea is known for its strict discipline during meetings and public service activities. International media have reported that some high-ranking officials have faced severe consequences for dozing off or sitting improperly during work sessions. However, according to the Korea Times, when Chairman Kim Jong-un once closed his eyes and sat still for about 30 seconds during a meeting, the domestic press described this action as a sign of intense concentration. Number 7. The paradoxes in North Korea. Despite being famous for its numerous strict regulations, North Korea has its fair share of contradictory aspects compared to the rest of the world. In most countries, stimulants are considered dangerous and are strictly controlled. However, in North Korea, one such substance is completely legal. The government does not even classify it as addictive and believes that the societal harm caused by tobacco is far more severe. If that isn't surprising enough, the electoral system in North Korea might just make you laugh. According to regulations, the country holds parliamentary elections every 5 years. At first glance, this seems similar to a democratic model, but in reality, there is only one candidate selected by the central government in each district. The ballot only offers a single option to mark an agreement. Since every citizen is required to participate in the voting process, the support results always reach an absolute 100%. Perhaps this is one of the few places in the world where the voices of the people are always heard in their entirety by the government. Another interesting detail is that the agency responsible for North Korea's space program is abbreviated as NADA. Coincidentally, in Spanish, this word means nothing. However, this name does not reflect its actual capabilities, as NADA has placed North Korea among the 11 countries in the world capable of independently developing and launching satellites into orbit. From a certain perspective, this could be seen as a rather unique form of modesty. North Korea is also frequently mentioned in the media for its notable military weapons. In 2015, the country introduced a new camouflage aircraft and regarded it as a national pride. However, what made this aircraft famous was its ability to fly backward. The Antonov, and 2, produced by the Soviet Union since the 1940s, is so underpowered that it can hardly move forward in strong winds. Thus, instead of causing concern, this image became a humorous topic in international media. Lastly, there is the story of Kijongdong Village, a prime example of ostentatious projects. The village was built in the 1950s with the aim of creating the impression that the North was living in great prosperity, in order to attract South Koreans to cross the border. In reality, there are no residents living there at all. After more than 60 years, only 2 South Koreans have moved to the north, while about 23,000 North Koreans have sought to escape to the south. This disparity has turned Kijongdong into a counterproductive symbol in propaganda. What do you think about these contradictory aspects? If you find that North Korea sometimes has a rather humorous side, feel free to leave a comment with the number 8. Number 8. Strange things about weddings in North Korea. In North Korea, marriage is not merely a personal decision, but is also seen as a test of loyalty to the state. Before being allowed to hold a wedding, both the bride and groom must submit a 3-generation family background check to the local authorities for review. The purpose of this is to determine their position within the Songbun class system. If either is classified as belonging to a hostile class or has a background deemed unfavorable, the marriage will not be approved, regardless of how much the couple loves each other. Furthermore, if the rejection of the marriage becomes public knowledge, it can have lasting repercussions on the family's reputation. Even the choice of wedding date is not a private matter for families. North Korea prohibits weddings on the birthdays of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. These days are considered national mourning days, and any personal activities are viewed as disrespectful to the leaders. Violating this rule can lead to public criticism of the family, or even special surveillance. The concept of a honeymoon is almost non-existent. The collective lifestyle, travel restrictions, and economic conditions make post-wedding travel a luxury. Instead of going on a vacation, some newlyweds choose to visit the Kim Il-sung Monument as a ritual to demonstrate their loyalty after marriage. If you had to seek state permission to marry the person you love, and a honeymoon simply meant standing in front of a monument, would you accept that? Please leave your comments below. Number 9. The lowest salary in Asia. Have you ever wondered how much a worker in North Korea earns each month? Is it $500, $200, or at least $100? In reality, the figure is much lower than what outsiders often imagine. The average income is only around $3 to $10 USD. A factory worker typically earns about $3 to $5. Teachers may earn a bit more, while doctors, despite being a respected profession in many countries, only make about $10 to $15 a month. Even soldiers, who are considered the backbone of the country, receive a symbolic salary of just a few dollars. What is puzzling is that despite such low incomes, North Korean society operates quite stably. The reason is that people do not primarily rely on their salaries for survival. Instead, the state provides most of the basic necessities. Each family is allocated free housing, receives rations of rice and cooking oil, has access to electricity, schools, and a public healthcare system that does not charge fees. As a result, at least everyone has the minimum living conditions to sustain their lives. However, this distribution system is not always consistent. There are areas that go for months without receiving enough rice, and cooking oil often faces shortages. In such cases, people are forced to find ways to cope by going to informal markets known as jangmadang. These are not luxury goods markets, but places where various necessities such as vegetables, dried fish, soap, clothing, medicine, and even goods imported from China are sold. Prices here are higher than the state rations, but when distribution warehouses are empty, jangmadang becomes almost the only option. Daily life for the people also faces significant challenges due to prolonged power outages. If you look at satellite images at night, North Korea is almost shrouded in darkness, with only Pyongyang being somewhat brighter. In rural areas, electricity is often available for just a few hours each day. Students have to study under streetlights, while families rely on candles or oil lamps at home. Those with more resources may buy batteries to store electricity, but it is only enough to power a few light bulbs or charge a phone. Hot water is also a persistent issue. Although free housing is provided, many apartment complexes lack hot water systems. People must go to public bathhouses to wash. These facilities do not have modern water heaters. Instead, water is primarily heated using coal, wood, or oil, and then pumped into tanks. In winter, when temperatures drop below 0 degrees Celsius, waiting in line for a shower is a common sight. Those who do not want to jostle for space must heat water in a basin to bathe at home. Number 10. The most isolated country on the planet. North Korea has long been regarded as one of the countries with very limited contact with the outside world. According to data published by the Lowy Institute in 2023, the country maintains diplomatic relations with only 47 nations and ranks among the 5 countries with the lowest levels of international engagement globally. International media often describe North Korea as a unique place where all activities entering and exiting the territory are tightly controlled by central authorities. Looking back to around 2010, North Korea recorded an average of about 3,000 people attempting to leave the country each year. However, by 2024, this number had dropped by more than 95%, leaving only 63 cases. Some international organizations suggest that this sharp decline is related to stricter border management. In the demilitarized zone, adjacent to South Korea, security forces have been deployed more densely, making it extremely risky to cross this area. Regarding the border with China, North Korea reached a repatriation agreement in 2018, under which any citizen found on Chinese territory without permission would be sent back. Some reports also mention that Pyongyang is assisting Russia in special missions and receiving similar commitments from Moscow. In this context, if one still wishes to find a way to leave the country, the only feasible option left is to cross the sea to Japan. However, Japan is a country that frequently faces natural disasters, such as major storms and tsunamis. Even if one manages to overcome these obstacles, North Korean law stipulates that the act of leaving the country illegally can have repercussions for the entire family left behind. Not only geographically restricted, access to the global cyberspace in North Korea is also managed in its own way. Since 2008, the country has implemented an internal network system called Kwangmyong. This system operates completely separately from the global internet and primarily serves domestic information needs. Citizens cannot access popular platforms such as Google, YouTube, or Facebook. Domestic television is also centrally managed, with only 3 broadcasting channels, one of which dedicates almost all its airtime to conveying the party's policies. Foreign cultural products, including content from South Korea and the West, are strictly controlled. Number 11. The world's top powerful military forces. The fact that North Korea has the capability to inflict serious damage on South Korea with just one command is not an exaggeration. Since 2006, the country has conducted numerous nuclear tests, including a test in 2017 that was believed to have a much greater yield than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Although the exact number of warheads has not been disclosed, the mere existence of a heavily isolated nation facing significant economic challenges possessing a weapon capable of obliterating an entire city is enough to raise concerns within the international community. Even the United States cannot afford to underestimate Pyongyang's nuclear capabilities. However, nuclear weapons are just one aspect of North Korea's military strength. The country also boasts one of the largest armed forces in the world in terms of personnel. The regular military is estimated to consist of about 1.3 million troops, ranking just behind China and the United States, despite having a significantly smaller population. Additionally, there is a militia known as the Worker Peasant Red Guards, comprising around 7 million members, along with approximately 600,000 reserve forces. In a state of emergency, North Korea could mobilize nearly 8 million soldiers. To put it humorously, for every 10 citizens, 3 are ready to take up arms, and among them could be shopkeepers or kindergarten teachers. To maintain this scale, North Korea enforces a very strict conscription system. Both men and women are required to serve. Men serve for about 10 years, and prior to 2021, this duration extended up to 13 years, nearly encompassing their entire youth. Women are also obligated to serve for up to 7 years, except in cases of health issues or if they have small children. In reality, military training does not only begin upon enlistment. From elementary school, students are taught marching, maintaining a steady gait, and standing at attention. By the time they reach high school, the curriculum includes shooting, grenade throwing, and marching exercises. By the end of their schooling, students must participate in several weeks of intensive training, resembling a condensed military course before officially becoming soldiers. With such training methods, it is not difficult to understand why North Korea can mobilize such a large military force. Number 12. Pyongyang, the quietest capital in Asia. Pyongyang is the capital of North Korea, with an estimated population of around 3 million people. Some sources suggest that in the past, the area of the city was much larger, approximately 2,600 square kilometers, but it has since been reduced to nearly 500 square kilometers as it is today. Despite being a large urban center, Pyongyang does not have the cramped or suffocating feel often found in many other capitals. If one sets aside the image of bustling and noisy Asian cities, Pyongyang emerges as an open, orderly space that exudes a distinctly peaceful atmosphere. The most striking feature of this city lies in its monumental architecture and large public spaces. Pyongyang is planned with wide, straight boulevards and squares that can accommodate tens of thousands of people. Structures such as the Arch of Triumph, the Juche Tower by the Taedong River, and the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun all present a grand appearance, clearly reflecting the ideology and messages that the state wishes to convey. Standing before these buildings, one can easily sense the significant investment in both scale and symbolism. Another surprising characteristic is the neatness and tranquility of Pyongyang. It may be one of the cleanest and least noisy capitals in the world. The city is almost devoid of commercial advertisements, and there are no long traffic jams or crowds jostling for space. Instead, there is a slow-paced and somewhat solemn rhythm of life. Residents typically walk or cycle on the wide sidewalks, while buses and old-style trams operate regularly and on schedule. All of this creates an urban picture that is both nostalgic and distinctly unique. A new day in Pyongyang begins quite early. Around 6 a.m., revolutionary songs are broadcast through the public loudspeakers. People dressed neatly, orderly make their way to work and school. Sports and cultural activities are organized regularly. You might encounter scenes of morning exercises or group dances taking place in the squares at the end of the day. The pace of life here is highly disciplined and very well organized. In addition to this solemnity, Pyongyang has also witnessed quiet economic changes in recent years. Some modern neighborhoods have emerged, indicating a certain movement in urban life. Streets like Ryomyeong and Mire stand out with colorful high-rise apartment buildings, shops, and restaurants. The city also boasts a subway system deep underground, with intricately decorated stations. The increasing presence of personal cars and images of residents using smartphones suggest that a middle class is gradually forming, making Pyongyang more diverse than what the world typically imagines. Number 13. Rural life in North Korea. Life in rural North Korea today evokes images reminiscent of the 1970s and 1980s. All production activities still operate under a collective model, where land is owned by the state and managed by agricultural cooperatives. People do not farm for free sale. Instead, they work according to a plan with output allocated from the beginning of the season. Each cooperative consists of dozens of households that cultivate, harvest, and then share the yield based on a point system. The number of points determines the amount of rice, corn, or cooking oil each family receives at the end of the year, motivating everyone to work hard, as their labor directly impacts their own meals. Each cooperative has a communal living area. This is where villagers gather for meetings, watch films, organize cultural events, or summarize production competitions. Meetings typically begin with songs praising the leader and conclude with a reminder of the upcoming seasonal plans. This organization fosters a strong sense of community, as people become accustomed to working together, sharing responsibilities, and collectively experiencing the outcomes. Every morning, loudspeakers announce the work hours and read the latest news from the village center. Residents gather at the communal area and then head to the fields together, dressed in nearly identical work attire, usually blue shirts, fabric hats, and red badges. In the fields, one can easily spot rows of people planting rice, sowing corn, or harvesting potatoes in a rhythmic manner. The labor scene is orderly, disciplined, and distinctly collective. Notably, agriculture here still relies heavily on manual labor. Agricultural machinery is not common, so oxen, carts, and hand tools are still widely used. At the end of the workday, everyone returns to their daily routines. Women often gather to do laundry by the river, men repair farming tools, and children play in the fields or around the village. In areas far from the center, power outages still occur quite frequently due to aging infrastructure and unstable energy supplies. Therefore, in the evenings, residents often use oil lamps or gather to chat, read newspapers, or engage in communal activities. Despite material conditions being quite lacking, rural life in North Korea retains a unique sense of tranquility. People are accustomed to sharing and supporting one another. When a family faces difficulties, neighbors often come to help or contribute additional food supplies. Thus, the community resembles a large family, where the spirit of solidarity and discipline is maintained across generations. Number 14. The transportation system like in the 1970s. When it comes to transportation in North Korea, Pyongyang is perhaps one of the few capitals where you can stand in the middle of a wide boulevard with dozens of lanes, looking far into the distance, and still rarely see cars passing by. Here, cars are almost a privilege reserved for state officials, the military, and a small group of individuals in special positions. For ordinary citizens, Owning a car is nearly unimaginable, not only because the prices far exceed their incomes, but also due to the complex series of permissions required. As a result, instead of the noisy traffic jams found in many other capitals, Pyongyang gives the impression of having many roads but very few vehicles. So, how do people get around? The answer lies in the public transportation system. Buses and trams are the most common means of transport and are often overcrowded. Each time the doors open, a wave of people rushes out, only to quickly squeeze back in to continue their journey. Deep underground, you will find the subway system, which is even more crowded than buses and trams. This is one of the few bustling spaces in the capital. People line up on long escalators and enter train cars that are always full. Seats are rarely available. Most of the trains are old, with some dating back to the East German era, but they still operate regularly every day. For many, the subway is an indispensable means of commuting to work and school. In addition to public transportation, bicycles also play a significant role in daily life. There was a time when women were banned from riding bicycles because it was deemed inappropriate according to social norms. Later, this regulation was lifted, and bicycles quickly became widespread. In the context of scarce fuel, they are a cheap, convenient mode of transport, suitable for many families. Due to the low number of vehicles, the streets of Pyongyang do not require many traffic lights. Instead, a familiar sight at major intersections is female traffic police in blue uniforms and white boots, directing traffic with decisive and precise movements. It is estimated that around 300 women perform this duty in the city. They are carefully selected based on strict criteria, including being female, unmarried, aged between 16 and 26, at least about 1.63 meters tall, having graduated from high school, being in good health, and possessing a pleasing appearance according to local standards. Some opinions suggest that the North Korean government, including Kim Jong-un, views the female traffic police as part of the image of the capital. Choosing young women with striking appearances and neat uniforms helps make Pyongyang look orderly and creates a strong impression on outsiders. Number 15. A country strict with both tourists. The first thing you need to keep in mind when stepping foot in North Korea is to absolutely avoid wearing blue jeans. You can still wear white or black jeans, but blue is considered a symbol of foreign culture and is not accepted. Next, tourists are not allowed to visit or stay at the homes of local residents, even if they are acquaintances or relatives. Engaging in conversations, interviews, or seeking information directly from the locals is also completely prohibited. If you attempt to approach, befriend, or ask questions related to the country's situation, you may be suspected of having ulterior motives and could even be placed on a watch list. Upon entry, North Korean customs will thoroughly inspect all luggage, from books to every photo on your phone. The aim is to ensure that no religious, political, or any content deemed sensitive is brought in. Tourists are still allowed to take photos during their visits. However, this right is not entirely unrestricted. In sensitive areas such as borders, security personnel may check cameras before tourists leave. If they find any images deemed inappropriate, they have the authority to demand immediate deletion on the spot. Finally, a rather unique point is that foreign tourists are not permitted to use North Korean won for any expenditures. This is contrary to the practice in many other countries, where local currency is often encouraged for use. Instead, tourists are required to pay with euros, US dollars, or Chinese yuan, with euros being the most preferred currency. So, we have gone through 15 interesting facts about North Korea together. I hope the information in this video has provided you with a clearer and new perspective on a country that continues to intrigue the world. If you found this content helpful, please hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming exploration videos. The information is for reference only, so please do your own research before making any decisions.